Hi, Code Geass anime fan here to talk about a Code Geass character. That character being Prince Clovis. Prince Clovis is a interesting character. Has a bit of a smaller role in the series, but I think Clovis is a classic example of how Code Geass is really good at handling its characters. Like, of course, the main characters shine, a lot of the side characters shine, but even characters like Clovis, who really aren't around for that long, still leave a memorable impression and are still a solid, good addition to the show. Clovis is introduced at the beginning of the show in the first episode, and is kind of the first bad guy that we see Lelouch facing against. So you think that Clovis might be one of the big villains of the show, and that's not exactly the case. But he is the one that kind of starts things off, and it's hard to say a lot about Clovis without spoilers. If you don't want too many spoilers, you might not want to watch this, but Clovis basically last 3 episodes. Uh, he kind of meets his finale. He gets defeated, taken out in the third episode, and so because of that, it might seem like, oh well, Clovis might not get to lead to his full potential. However, I think Clovis is a really good example of a villain to start the show off with. When you have a show where you're building up to like a big bad, like a big villain you're going to face, like their biggest opponent, a lot of times you don't want them to face that villain right away. That villain being Charles, and to a certain extent also Schneisel and stuff. And so you don't want to have them show up right away. So Clovis is a really good villain to start things off with. He is a threat. He does help get C2 into the plot, helps show Lelouch starting off his hero or anti-hero, whatever you want to call it, journey. So Clovis is really good at being like a starter character. He helps get things going, but he's not meant to stick around. And so, it could be argued he didn't get to live up to his full potential. However, I think it ended up working out because, Clovis gets taken out, and then we get room for bigger and even better villains, Cornelia, Schneisel, Charles. And so I think Clovis was a really good villain, kind of like basically an appetizer. He's not the main course of the bad guys. He's just a little villain that's fun to get things started off with, but he's not meant to really be one of the big villains of the show. But he's still important to the events of the show. Helps show Zero, his first big strike as an anti-hero, hero, vigilante person, whatever you want to call him, important to his journey to start things off with. And Clovis, for the time he did get, he kind of he had a really good design, sort of a dramatic sort of personality, this sort of smugness that you expect from a villain, and he was an entertaining, memorable addition. So like I said, only kind of the, well, main villain at least of the first 2 episodes, and then at the start of the third episode, and that's kind of it for him. But I think he was well used for the time he did get. So again, that's an example of how Code Geass, even characters that aren't really there for that long, still leave a good impression. So that really goes to show how great Code Geass really is in handling so many characters and giving them all memorable moments, or at least a majority of them. I mean, some characters are kind of, whatever, but for the most part, they do such a great job, and even characters like Clovis are really well used. So I think he was a good, solid antagonist and a great one to start the show off with.